What am I looking at? Dude, this is like a next level. Like, instead of... Dude, what the f is this? I can't even fathom this. So you... What? So you have like 15 test phases. And in Alpha 2, you spend money. 120 bucks to not even... they should pay you money to play the Alpha 2, by the way. It's already fucked that you are even paying money to test the game, okay? They should be paying you money to test the game, okay? First of all, okay? Then you're paying money to test Alpha, which isn't even a game, right? Like, even they're saying this is like some fucked, like, giga in development shit that is barely playable. So you pay $120 for that, and once the test is over, you need to buy another one. Okay, so I just got off watching the most recent live stream of Ashes of Creation, which was... We'll get into that, but before that, obviously, a couple months ago I made a video about Ashes of Creation, how I'm not excited about it anymore, but I did keep following the game loosely afterwards, and I thought the previous Bard showcase, which I also tweeted out, was actually pretty good. Like, that was by far the best class showcase, although everything else in that showcase wasn't good, but at least the class had some interesting parts to it, right? Right after I was praising them, basically a month after, when was this? When did I post this? August the 1st, yeah, half a month after, they're now revealed their plans for the Alpha 2, right? They had a full-on live stream, basically like 2.5 hours long, where they just talked about Alpha 2, what that entails, what they came up with, what their plans are. And oh boy, is this way worse than I could have ever imagined. So first of all, you need to understand this game has already been in development for like 8 years, something like that, 7-8 years. And now they're starting Alpha 2, which, well, I'm assuming is their last alpha. So there will be betas after that as well. Now, because they're stalling for so long already, and they wanted to keep stalling somehow, instead of releasing the proper persistent Alpha 2, which they were like talking about for so long, oh yeah, Alpha 2 is persistent, blah 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 blah, they now split up the Alpha 2 into 3 different phases, starting with the first one, which they themselves said will probably not going to be persistent.
Parameters we're focused around, again, that stability, that scalability, the performance, and progression as well. So for phase 1, those are the test goals. And what that means for us is, obviously, we're going to prioritize what's necessary in order to accomplish those goals, and sometimes that might be wiping persistence.
And on top of that, this is only a Friday to Sunday test, presumably every weekend, but this is like a very small test in comparison to what people were expecting from this. Obviously, they talked about spot testing before, but I think it's very fair to say that the majority of the community thought it's gonna be this, you know, that it's just open 24/7. They're gonna drop some content every now and then, and you can just test, because it's just an Alpha 2, right? They're just testing. It's not a game anyways, right?
The 2 for as long as we feel it's necessary. So you will get a good chunk of time to play the game and test it. Obviously, towards the end there, you'll be playing more of a game. For the beginning, it's going to be very much like Steven said. You're not really playing a game, you're testing it.
Well, just to get into these tests, that's also going to be absolute insanity. We'll get into that in a second. But yeah, these are the first 3 phases that they have in store. So you could lean very far out the window and say Alpha 2 was delayed until May 1st. Okay, I would lean that far out, because these ones, as they said themselves, aren't even really playable experiences, apparently. Now, also, that being said, they were asked a little bit at the very end of their live stream about, like, if there's going to be delays again, how can they comply to their own roadmap, and they were like, it's just the goal, you know, it's just goals, so we won't, but I don't know. So I wouldn't really expect these to actually release on these dates. After, by the way, the Alpha 2 was already delayed, because they said Alpha 2 was going to release in the 3rd quarter of 2024, which October 25th obviously isn't. After they iterated for like a year straight that they're confident that it's going to release then. But they obviously didn't meet that expectation. And they also talked about crunch during all of this, that they're currently in a crunch period for the developers, which is obviously also not a good look. So then they showed what will be available. Or my chair is creaking like crazy. Then they also showed what would be available in phase 1. And we can see a couple of things here. I noted a little bit of stuff down, okay? So that, for example, they have 5 node locations at level 3 with some level 4 stuff. What does that mean? 5 node locations out of 85. They already lowered the amount of nodes like a couple months ago, and now there's 85 nodes on the world map. These are 5 of those. They have 5 nodes ready to be tested. 5 out of 85, okay? Not only that, but the node level goes up to level 6, which is Metropolis, I think. So this is 5 out of 85 and 3 out of 6 out of those 5. So that's such a minuscule amount of content that they have. Like, judging by the rate they're developing this will literally take another 15 years, unironically. Also, we can talk about the classes real quick. They have 6 classes ready to go in phase 1. Apparently until level 25, which is halfway to max level. On top of that, 6 classes is only 6 out of 8 classes. The Rogue and the Summoner are missing. On top of that, I'm very certain there won't be any class augmentations. Meaning, you know how there's like videos where Ashes has like 60 something classes. Maybe I can pull this up really quick. So this was their plan for all of the classes in the game. And right now we have 6 classes just base at level 25. So you can kind of imagine how much deeper this goes. Like if they have 10% of this game done, I would be surprised. Like what a minuscule amount that is. Okay, just to give you like an overview, we have the fighter, we have the tank, we have the ranger, the mage, the cleric, the bard. None of this other stuff. And not rogue and not summoner. Those will be added maybe in later phases. I think they were trying to get rogue into phase 2 and summoner in phase 3. But that should just give you like a little bit of an understanding of how far away they are from a completed game, okay? Like this is all like light years away. With the combined classes, your existing abilities get augmented and change. So a lot of the class fantasy, a lot of the like build making stuff will come from having basically 2 classes, one base class and one class that augments your base class, right? And they're not even really like, this is not even a goal yet as far as I can tell. Obviously, we should also talk about the elephant in the room, which is the pricing, which you saw in the intro a little bit. I can't even really fathom this, right? So the first Alpha 1, which was really not even a game at all, cost $500, right? But then you got a bunch of benefits and you get access to all of the next tests and stuff like that, which is ridiculous, but you know, that's what they did. Now Alpha 2 before, with all of the cosmetic packages, was $250, so it was half the price, and you would get like in-game benefits, you would get the costumes, you would get all access to all of the tests that will come, right? Now this move is the craziest move I've ever seen a company make, because what they're doing here, they're selling the Alpha 1 phase key here.
For the beginning, it's going to be very much like Steven said, you're not really playing a game, you're testing it.
For $120, right? Now, the crazy part about that is not only if you want to play test their game, you need to spend money instead of the other way around, right? Technically speaking, they should pay you for testing their incomplete product, yes? Not only that, but it also doesn't persist. And what I mean by that is, after the Alpha 2 is over, so after all of the phases are over, you won't have access to beta. You won't get some in-game playtime or anything else. If there's an Alpha 3 for whatever reason, which I mean, that could happen at this point, you won't get access to that either. So if you buy any of these keys, you only have access to this part of the testing.
Date you start and you get to play all the way to. You don't have to buy all 3 keys. That is not how it works. Just buy one key and you get access to Alpha 2.
That's
so that is how it works. I just want to make that very clear. You don't buy all 3, you just buy one, and then you get access from that date to the end of Alpha 2.
That's correct. Yep.
You do not get access to beta. This is only Alpha 2 access. If you want beta, we will maybe be offering another option for a beta in the future. But right now, we're focused on Alpha 2 at the moment.
I don't even have words to like describe how like disgusting practices like these are. To be fair, it's obviously always the consumer's fault to even buy into this bullshit, right? But bro, like I've never seen a testing period phase sale as bad as this, never. And then there was also one more thing that was a little bit more speculative, all because you know it's obviously on Reddit, so let's just call it that. But there was a post about exactly what I just talked about, how like you pay and spend this much money and then you lose your access basically after that, which is like on the MMORPG subreddit, people are definitely not too happy about Ashes or MMOs in general, which by the way is pretty realistic anyways. So, and then there was a lot of more interesting stuff coming out below that, and well, let's just read it because I'm not a lawyer. I don't know like how these things actually work out. So if anyone has a little bit more understanding of these things, I would love to hear that in the comments. Regardless of what you think about this game, the company is not being upfront with its customers. They suddenly stopped selling cosmetics and pre-order packs this year with promises to restart them soon. Problem is, the reason why they stopped and haven't started back up is the fact that State of California has suspended their business license for failure to pay taxes. They currently have a tax lien. It doesn't appear Intrepid Studios pays their taxes and is financially catching up with them. And there's like another post from like 2021 or something that has like these documents, and there's like also a lawsuit going on apparently. Everything being public, I don't know what the fuck's going on here, but yeah. So there's a bunch of weird shit happening, and you can look through this yourself. I will link this Reddit post below. So you can make your own judgment of what's actually happening here, because at the end of the day, it's still Reddit. So. We will see how accurate this actually is, but definitely something worth talking about as well. But yeah, that's really all I wanted to cover for today. I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of an update of what's going on for Ashes, because to be honest, at the moment, with everything being delayed and even Throne Liberty being delayed somehow, it's getting pretty rough on the MMO front. So if there's anything interesting happening, I will be covering it, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
On to the next one. Gameplay loop. What is expected to be the primary gameplay loop during Alpha 2? Ooh. And that is from Rive.
So that primary gameplay loop is going to evolve a little bit over the phases, right? And we talked a little bit earlier about that. I won't necessarily rehash that. What are the focuses of those phases? But when I think about kind of a primary gameplay loop, I think about players having agency. I think about players influencing the world. I think about players reacting to dynamic world states. I think about players forging relationships. I think about friction between players. I think about rewards that are make or break, that are risky, that require community and collaboration in order to achieve. Those are the types of loops that we espouse across a number of different features, right? So, yeah.
What?
All right.